Brother lads, welcome back to the 90 More podcast. My name is Kosi. We are back again. It's a Tuesday. We're going to be diving into the latest around your football clubs. Cristiano Ronaldo, Man United again think they can terminate his contract before the window closes. And they think he's becoming a problem with his attitude. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is one of the players that are being looked at as a replacement for Cristiano Ronaldo. Chelsea are also trying to sign him. Barcelona are looking at around 30 million euros, but Chelsea would love to sign the player for at least significantly less than that. But then we'll talk about Liverpool as well. It looks like they miss Sadio Mane, and however much they've really had a very great transfer window, the likes of Darwin Núñez coming through the door, they've not really addressed that midfield problem as becoming a huge constant. So we're going to be diving into a lot, more on the podcast. Make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to us as well. Mustafa, we are back on a Tuesday, and I think there is no better place to start off today than Chelsea and Man United. They're both fighting for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. They do need a striker. I think Chelsea fans will agree with us that they should have won that game against Tottenham Hotspur if they had a clinical striker. Man United, they have so many problems. A striker is just one of them. But I think, if you want a problem world, you just enter the Old Trafford. Let's start off with Aubameyang. Aubameyang, personally, when it came to the Premier League, the first 2-3 seasons with Arsenal, he actually really, really performed up to the expectations. It didn't end well. I think disciplinary issues and personal problems with Mikel Arteta and the standards that had been set at the Emirates Stadium. At their goals, is he one guy that can come at Chelsea and solve the goal problem, and also at Man United?
Of course, one of the problems that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is having, I think, is his conduct. The way he treats himself. That is not on the pitch, but I think outside the pitch.
Off the pitch.
Saw him, by the time that he came at Arsenal, he was performing well, I think, the first 3 seasons. But of course, just recently, when Mikel Arteta came out and told us that he has been writing so many things that that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang was doing, of course, at the club. Because he says that his conduct, of course, as a player, is something that is disturbing his talent. Of course, 33 years of age. We've seen what he did last season at Barcelona, scoring almost 16 goals.
Yeah, I think that there is no doubt about him. He's a clinical striker.
Yeah, he's a clinical striker, and you would think maybe he would be doing good for the club. But of course, at Chelsea, we well know that Chelsea over the weekend, so many chances were lost. Looking at how, of course, they were performing, their wingers, the likes of Raheem Sterling, the likes of Gallagher when he came off bench. Of course, they were lacking that person who can be clinical enough to put goals into them. And I think. When they get when they get Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, is that guy that you think will be doing that? But one thing that maybe they should worry about him is his conduct. That is after outside the pitch. But we all know that Thomas Tuchel has ever worked with him. Remember, Thomas Tuchel's second season at Borussia Dortmund. I think is the biggest tally of goals that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang has scored, 25 goals plus. And I think you never know when he comes at Chelsea, because working with someone that you've ever worked with, sometimes things, of course, go on well. But when it comes to the pitch, of course, you have no doubt about that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is one guy that, of course, will score 20 plus goals, if he's on his form.
I think about the fact that they have Armando Broja there, and I'm like, Armando Broja has proven himself at Southampton. I don't think he really scored as many goals as he could, but again, he was in a Southampton side that were not really scoring as many goals as there is. So, do you sign Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, or do you give Armando Broja the chance to lead that Chelsea line? Because if you give him the time and the quality around him, the likes of Kai Havertz, Christian Pulisic, Raheem Sterling, I think he can pull a 15 goal, for you, 15 goals per campaign.
Of course, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, of course, when you look at his age, is 33,
and that is the question.
He's a young guy. Of course, per now, you can't give Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang when you're trying to strategize Broja. Of course, because you well know that I will not be there for maybe 4 seasons, but you will expect that Armando Broja, of course, will be there in time. So I think it's just a matter of calculations putting Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, because we know he's so clinical, compared to Broja. But I think for now, you put Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang there as you try to groom up Broja, one of those strikers maybe you think in the next 2 or 3 years will be good.
And then the 30 million euro price tag around his neck. Now, Barca have signed someone who's older than Pierre Aubameyang in Robert Lewandowski for over 50 million euros. Ridiculous business for me. But
at his age.
At his age, but 30 million euros for Pierre Aubameyang. For me, it's an absolute steal for from Barcelona. Should Chelsea take that risk? Because it's a gamble, it's a risk. If you're chief advisor at Chelsea, what do you do? What kind of advice do you give them? We go for him. It's a risk, but we go for him. He can win us the league, or let's just stay away from this.
I think that is too much money to Pierre Aubameyang, who will know that came from Arsenal free. Of course, he came from free.
Literally, his contract was terminated.
Like the salary. So I think when it comes to that, I think. You can't go on like 50 million plus. That is too much money to a guy who is 33 years of age. Of course, you all know that he's just going to be playing the biggest. I think will be like 2 seasons.
2 seasons.
Yeah. So that is too much money. You can't go for a striker like that when there are some promising young strikers who you well know, of course, will be. Even if it comes to time of selling those strikers, of course, will be at a high rate. Pierre Aubameyang 2 years from now, I don't think that he will be even making 15 million like on sale.
Well, they also want Anthony Gordon, and I literally don't want to talk about Anthony Gordon because it doesn't make any sense for me. But do you feel Todibole coming from, I don't know what kind of business he's been doing, into a football into a role owning a club, but also being a sporting director for a club. I mean, how impressed are you with that? With their transfer season, and in the sense that it makes sense.
So far, it's not good because even like when you hear the words of the coach when he said like after that game of Tottenham Hotspur, he said that they are going to be taking things slowly. But when you look, of course, time is going, and the more like the transfer market goes on, of course, it's the more like the players become so expensive. I think it will be good to do things like, for example, what Manchester City did and Liverpool. Of course, buying players
early enough and give them that time to settle in.
But of course, when things go on, I think they will be so expensive. The likes of Gordon, he's 21 years. He has not proven so much at Everton. Of course, you saw him in the last game. And of course, having that price tag of 50 plus million pounds, I think that is insane. It's not that you can buy such a player.
Personally, I feel Todibole is going to cost Chelsea huge amounts of money. And the problem here is they've already bought the club at a lot of money, more than they should have bought it, because Roman Abramovich had a few, I think not really a few millions, but many millions. He was demanding the club, and he decided that money should be coming back to his pocket. And even after that, they've decided we're going to go with a very unclear path in our transfer strategy. And for me, because look, Marco Crella, I rate a lot. He's a very quality player. But do Chelsea need him currently? Very, very, very quickly. I think he's really improved them. But he's one signing you do away with, and you're all right, because you've been chill with there. Probably if Marcos Alonso leaves, then you could find someone who is maybe, right? And still a maybe. Now they have 3 left backs in the position, and they do not. They need reinforcements at centre back. They need a striker, a typical striker. 50 million for Marco Crella signs you a quality striker, probably and a very good backup for Ben Mendy. Yeah, I think honestly, overall, Chelsea, they're not having the worst window, in their lifetime, but I think it lacks direction. But Man United have also been mentioned among the clubs interested in Pierre Aubameyang. They are literally linked with everyone at the moment. But let's talk about how Aubameyang doesn't fit into Man United, in my opinion. Let's talk about that first, because Erik ten Hag is looking for players with the right mentality, with the right attitude, players that are going to work hard. And at the moment, they're more of the lazy players, of the lazy character, of the demotivated players than the motivated ones. Aubameyang, for me, I'm an Arsenal fan, so probably I'm having the wrong side of Aubameyang alone. But I don't see him as the guy that comes into this Man United side, and he's one of the few pillars they build on. Because what Ten Hag needs now is few signings that come in and we can depend on them. And United can depend on them. In my opinion, Aubameyang, he's a good goal poacher, good scorer. very fit. Very clinical. But when we think about helping the team when they're not in possession, when his role is not running through the channels and working the channels and doing that, I don't see him as a quality addition. Not in any way.
When you're looking for players who are going to be fighting for the club, of course, putting...
Actually, that is the word, fighting for the club at the moment.
Yeah, too much for the club. You can't look for players like
Aubameyang.
The likes of Nicolas Pepe.
Absolutely.
Maybe,
absolutely.
Because Man United for now, I think they need such players, of course, to help the club to move into what they are currently. Of course, that's trying for... as in that transfer for Aubameyang. Of course, I also heard about it, but I don't think that these are some of the players. I don't know. I always pinpointing these players, by the way, at Manchester United. But right now, we all well know that they need a clinical striker, because we saw that, of course, in the last game. Cristiano Ronaldo, who do expect that will be moving away anytime. Of course, you need some player who is going to be there. Maybe, you never know. Non Sancho. Greenwood, maybe, if he would be there, maybe. You never know, he could be doing some good work.
Yeah, they miss him.
They're missing a good player who can be finishing goal. But Aubameyang, yes, he has the quality, but these are some of the players who are not good if the club doesn't have them. There are those good players when the club is possessing, of course, when they're in control, but when the club is not in control, and I do think this is not the style of play that maybe Ten Hag would like to be having. And I think you can't need a player like Aubameyang. Of course, you rather go to the market and do some more like review of strikers who are available. But Aubameyang, I don't think that will be doing that for Manchester United.
Yeah, I just if you've gotten rid of Paul Pogba and you hire Aubameyang, you've literally brought Paul Pogba back. Because for me, I honestly rate Aubameyang as a person. I think he's a quality striker. I think he deserves a lot of respect than he's getting, because he's done it on the European scene. Right? He's one of those few African strikers that you give a lot of respect. He's been there and he's done it. But the extracurricular parts of his game do not make him a right candidate for that Man United job.
Of course.
They just don't.
And those are the qualities that I talked about him outside the pitch. Of course, how he behaves. You remember those times at Arsenal when he went, of course, away from the club, going to his man, of course, not telling anyone. These are some of the things maybe. Yes, you might be good on field, but when it comes to outside things, of course, these also affect the club. So I think what we know, of course, at Man United, of course, those days of Sir Alex Ferguson, these are some of the things that we've been talking about that currently they're not happening at the club, and I think these are some of the things that are letting the club down. And of course, when you bring Aubameyang back at the club, yes, he's a good striker. He may score some goals, but you may find again those miscalculations or some things, of course, that is behind, that is in the dressing room. So I think right now, I can't rate Aubameyang maybe to come at the club. You've brought the same Pogba by the way.
Yeah, you brought the same problem, the attitude. Actually, I think it's the same thing with Adrien Rabiot. Rabiot has a positive mind, but my problem with Rabiot is he's one player going to clear out very, very early. As the clear out begins, as you start pushing these players with the negative attitudes and low quality out, Rabiot will find himself out of the door. And I think United, that is what they need at the moment. You don't need to be spending 70 million euros or 25 million euros on a player they're going to discard in the near future. You need to be thinking, you need to be that prudent. Go long. Get players like Taro Malacia. Look, Malacia, I don't know much about him. I can't really review him. But one thing I know about him is that he's young. Even if United decided to move him on, I think it's a good buy. You can easily sell him to a Lyon, a AC Milan, or Inter Milan. And the fact that he's got... And
it's that player like who is very easy maybe to control. But
absolutely.
Like as in the likes of Aubameyang we've been talking about, the likes of Rabiot, and of course when it comes to maybe telling them something, he will tell you like I've seen it all. So I think maybe the likes of like Malacia, the one we'll be talking about.
You need players that are literally who are coachable. And
of course, he's even very young when it comes to selling him. Of course, you can't get him at a good price. So the likes of maybe what they're doing right now in the transfer market, I don't think that is the right thing for the club. By the way, it's even putting them more down. United
there has also been a discussion around Tammy Abraham. Again, Chelsea trying to pay over £67 million. They want to trigger that buyback clause at Roma. And United are also one of the clubs that are interested in Tammy Abraham. I'm going to ask you this question. I wanted to ask you how good is Tammy Abraham, but I just want to ask you how well do you rate Tammy Abraham? It was available, by the way, for £40 million before he went to Roma. He's done a fantastic job under Mourinho. Do you rate him? Do you rate him that much? Because personally, I remember myself, I was live and I said, Tammy Abraham, I don't rate him. And now he's gone. I think last campaign he scored as many goals as all Arsenal strikers. Double.
Of course, Premier League is so it's so ridiculous. Let me say like that, because sometimes a player may be in Spanish La Liga, of course, scoring.
Yeah,
when it comes to the Premier League, goals fail. We've seen the likes of Tammy Abraham at Chelsea. He wasn't doing that better, but when he went to Italy, I think he's doing a good job there. But you can't know when he comes back. We saw the likes of Romelu Lukaku, what he did in Italy.
In Italy.
It was sorry,
30 plus figures
in
Chelsea.
So rating him coming back to the Premier League, you can't know what he's going to be delivering. Of course, it also depends on the players who are surrounding him. Will they be doing like what he has been providing for maybe at the previous? So I think these are some of the things that will be challenging. It depends when he comes back. Are there some players that are going to be feeding him that football, or they will not be players? So I think he's a good striker. He fights for the ball, but you can't rate him coming back to the Premier League.
Personally, I struggle to rate him. I really struggle to rate him. I think he's in the caliber of strikers where if you brought him, actually, I think is in that bracket of Mikel Antonio, the likes of Scamacca. I think Patrick Schick, he comes into your side, he can score you 12 goals a campaign or 13. And for me, 13 goals in a campaign, you're not even fighting for the top four. You're literally, your club is fighting for the UEFA Conference League.
Of course, in the Premier League, I think you need to be having maybe, let me say like 3 strikers, all of them at least scoring 15 goals.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, then you'll be fighting maybe for the top 4.
Top 4, yeah.
For the top 4 positions. But having a striker who's going to score only 13 goals, you don't rate that strike, of course. Or you don't yourself be fighting for the trophy or for the top 4 position.
But I think with Man United, though, I think at Chelsea, with £67 million, they can do better. They can find a better striker in the market. But at Man United, I think the die-hard mentality, the hard work that Tammy Abraham brings in off the ball, I think they would need that because literally, Eric Ten Hag is going to require his team to win the ball high up the pitch. He doesn't want to spend a huge amount of the time without the ball. And I think Tammy Abraham is that guy. I think his work rate and Gabriel Jesus is those are the 2 players. Those are the 2 strikers I've looked at. I'm like, these guys really work hard. So United, Tammy Abraham, the goals might not come as regular in the Premier League, but the work rate. Do you think it is something they could associate with at the moment?
Like we said, one of the things that letting Manchester United down, of course, is their transfer policy. By the time of Sir Alex Ferguson, what they used to do is to get young players, of course, who are ambitious, who are going to be fighting for the club. But currently, if you try to look on some of the players that they are buying, are those players that have done it. And I think this is why, I'm letting them to do doing things wrong. Yes, Tammy Abraham is one player that has done it. Of course, like we said at Chelsea, he wanted, of course, Mourinho bought him at a high price. Chelsea, of course, also there's a time when they wanted to bring him back, of course, so higher. You will get the same thing back. United. If you want to get such a player, of course, they will sell that player at a higher price. But are you sure that he's going to be delivering goals? We were talking about, of course, some of the players who are going to be around him at United. Of course, currently, that means that we'll be in front of the likes of Jadon Sancho, the likes of Bruno Fernandes. All these players, of course, they also want to score for themselves. So a player like Tammy Abraham, who is, of course, most of the time is just being fed with football, I don't think that he'll be doing it for United. Of course, he needs maybe clubs like Arsenal who are going to be feeding you the ball. But United, you're having the likes of let me say Jadon Sancho, he wants to score. Bruno Fernandes, he wants to score. Eriksen, and these are some of the players who are supposed to be giving you the ball. So I think Tammy Abraham, for now, I don't think that he'll be doing it. If he comes to United, of course, they will sell United at a higher price, but I don't think that he'll be doing it for the club right now. They need these young players who are ambitious, who are going to be fighting for the club. It may not be this season, but maybe in the coming season. Maybe in that grooming process.